It's the question that's on everyone's mind. What's going on? Why are we seeing a virtually non-stop parade of events like we saw in Indiana, like we have seen in California, like we have seen in Minnesota, and many other places? What is happening? Well, in today's video, I'm going to lay this out for you because it's basic psychology. I'm sure many of you know this already. But to sum it up in 2 words, monetized anxiety. That's what this is really all about. We need to start here. Hopelessness is endless. The more you search for it, the more you find it. Now think about that in the context of how suggested content works when you go to your phone or go to your device and you scroll looking for things to entertain you for that day. The more you look for hopelessness, the more you will find it. Here on this platform, it is a cottage industry. But when you make people feel hopeless and you back them into a corner and you tell them that you have no control, the government's in control of every aspect of your life, there's going to eventually be a backlash. And just keep in mind, the more we value things outside our control, the less control we have. This is simply the reaction to people having overvalued Washington, D.C. and the concept of America. I've talked about states' rights before. It's something that was virtually forgotten for decades. The state you lived in was just kind of this secondary thing that you kept in the back of your mind. You lived in America. And when America's government decided to, a year ago, drop the heavy hammer and control every aspect of your life, it led to hopelessness. Because people only have hope when they feel like they are in control of where they're going. They forgot this. When you can't control what's happening, challenge yourself to control the way you respond to what's happening. That's where your power is. You see, that's not taught. That's not taught. It's just do what the government says to do. Now, on another note that goes right along with this, there is no more of a hopeless place than locked inside a prison. I think a lot of people would agree with this. On the left, I have a video that I did on January 4th, 2019, 2 years ago, saying that a coming, unforeseen event will change the landscape of the U.S. forever. It is 4,610 views short of 1 million. This video at one time, right after I put it up, was cruising at 50 to 60,000 views a day, and then within a matter of 48 hours it dropped to 0 in early 2019. I think somebody knew what was coming, and they didn't want people seeing this. These were referred to as, quote-unquote, the map videos. 4 of the 5 top videos on my channel have to do with this exact subject. And on the right, we have an article from Reuters. It's part 3 of a 4-part article called Dying Inside. America's inmate population fell by 170,000 amid COVID. Some see a chance to undo mass incarceration, But the real story of what we're seeing is that hopelessness that used to be just in prisons now being manifested in modern society. 2020 was the year that everybody basically lived in a giant open-air prison, with government dictating who was open, who was not, where you went, when you went there, what you wore. All of this. I also did videos, and I didn't bring up any tabs to associate with it, about how Washington, D.C. and quote-unquote America was more of a socialist nation than Venezuela was. This year, past year, 2020, just proved it. Beyond the shadow of a doubt, that we live in a police state, in a government-controlled police state. Now, when you reward people with bread and circuses for their compliance, people will say, oh, great, we have capitalism and freedom and all this kind of stuff. It's nonsense. Now, I've talked about other maps that we have looked at extensively about where I believe the future is, where I believe freedom has its best chance of being restored. Well, I've created another one. And this one has 5 colors based on 4 different criterion. The 4 criterion are listed on the right. COVID-19 response, meaning the 2020 response, the results of the 2020 election in each state, who's in charge of your state, and what's the financial status, and is your state growing? Now I'm going to try to max this out real quick. Sorry about that. Got a notification. Basically, the idea is this. I have Florida in dark green. The reason I believe Florida is going to be the best choice for freedom going forward is because we are literally in the process of suing the federal government. Taking a positive, affirmative step for the sovereignty of the people of the state of Florida against D.C. overreach. That's why they are alone in the dark green category. Now, other states in kind of the mid-range of green have taken positive steps for sovereignty, not to the extent that Florida has, but are still good choices. Texas, Arkansas, South Carolina. Texas pretty much has lifted everything. Arkansas, Missouri, and South Carolina, their legislatures have passed laws that D.C. hasn't even tried to challenge regarding many conservative values. Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Governor Nome up in South Dakota has done quite well. The governor of Montana has done well. Idaho. They're doing an excellent job. The next step down is what they call neutral sovereignty. Nothing particularly negative about the state, but they haven't really gone far enough, in my mind, to establish and assert that they are sovereign and that D.C. serves us, not the other way around. Georgia, of course, for the issue in Atlanta. North Carolina, I'm still not sure about yet. Western Virginia was real close, but they, once again, they haven't really done anything from their governor's office or from their state legislatures to prove that they are ready to, quote unquote, stand up and affirm their sovereignty. Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, gotten some kind of disturbing information out of Louisiana that perhaps their governor isn't who he says he really is. And once again, the same thing with these states out here. Nothing negative about these states. Just that I think they could take a more active role, their legislatures, their governors, in reaffirming that we are a republic of states. We aren't America. Now, the bottom 2 categories. There's only 2 states in the next to last category, and that's Hawaii and Arizona. Hawaii is such a small state, and it's almost all tourism based. It's very hard to say that they're a completely lost cause, which is the last category. But Arizona's teetering. Arizona, I know there's a lot of good people there, but it's teetering. It really is. I hope they fix their issues like Georgia has, but just not sure if they're going to go down the road of becoming a client state of Southern California. The last category kind of speaks for itself, and I've illuminated this on other maps. I know there are good people in California. I know there are good people in Southern Illinois and in Western Virginia. Even up in Pennsylvania, there's probably still a few good ones, but when you take what happened in 2020, the election results, when you take the COVID response, and who's in charge, and then you couple that with the financial status, you see, to me, that's why I call them lost causes. They just don't, until they collapse completely, they just don't have the ability. They just do not have the ability to become a place that's going to affirmatively stand up for freedom. And that's basically why I created this new map. Now, it would be very cool to have a video that has over 1 million views. My channel has over, I know it's 35, 36 million views, I think, over all videos over 4 years. But I don't have any one single video that has gotten over 1 million views. This video is 4,610 views short. And it would be really awesome if you guys could share this video or promote this video in some way. It would just be a great milestone, a personal victory for me to have this be the case. So anyway, I will leave it there, but just to kind of recap what the idea is here. What's going on? Why you are seeing so many people do what they're doing is because of hopelessness. People are doing what they're doing because they feel like they are backed into a corner and they have no other choice. And hopelessness comes from a feeling of not being in control. And that feeling of not being in control has come from one place and one place only, Washington, D.C., and how they have responded to 2020. When you feel like your vote doesn't matter, when you feel like you're continually going to be struggling and that you're going to be having to count on a government check or you don't matter, this is why we are seeing what we're seeing. It's just Psych 101. And that's what's going on. God bless. Have a great weekend. Like, share, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.